We are halfway through March, actually past halfway through March here on the Chasing Greatness podcast, and I'm excited that you've joined us for today's episode. I got a good one for you. The end of March coming up, it means a couple things here. One, we got March Madness going on, the tournament, a lot of basketball, fun stuff. But here in the South, we have pollen season, and it's going to mess up my office. I've been enjoying my outdoor office here, my back porch, which I hang out here most of the time when I'm not on the road. I love it. I love it back here. But I'm going to have to shut it down for a few days, it looks like, because the pollen's starting to build up. A lot of pine trees here in the southeastern part of the United States. And it's that time of year. So welcome to Chasing Greatness, the podcast where we help you win at work, win at home, and now today, it's Friday, we're going to help you win at life a little bit. And I've got a real great episode, I think, today to help us at least it's going to help me think about some stuff as I've been reviewing a book. I actually did this on the book review yesterday. It was written by Dr. Henry Cloud. It's called Necessary Endings, and I think it's going to be helpful to us today. I love his subtitle. It says, "The Employees, Businesses, and Relationships That All of Us Have to Give Up in Order to Move Forward." And I'm guessing if you're like me, there's some things that you've held on to for a long time, maybe people, relationships, things that were once relationships that were vital in your life. And I'm not talking about your family relationships here. You can't get rid of your family. I'm sure I've got some family members who wish they could get rid of me, but that's not what we can do. But there are people that have gone with you for a season and they won't go the distance with you. That's two different groups of people. And so I think sometimes we get in our mind that maybe it's a way we did something that we're going to always do it this way because it was very successful for a season. Or maybe there's even a job we have. We hold on to that job longer than we should instead of being able to let go. And I know from experience, it takes courage to be able to let go. But if you don't let go, you can't move forward. I think what he says there is very true. That in fact, Henry says that what separates the top 1% of all the leaders in the world from the best leaders, I mean, like that one rare air percentage, is their ability to say no, their ability to let go and to move forward. And I like to call it, I've mentioned this before, I don't know, a year or so ago, I was talking about this on one of the shows, or I said it in a meeting we did with someone somewhere, but it's what I call the principle of my closet. So the closet, I don't know how it is, but the closet seems to always grow more stuff. It's just crazy. You just have more stuff than will fit in your closet. Now, I don't have a massive closet. You may have a big, closet. Sometimes I think we'll just build a bigger closet to handle more clothing. That's not a good strategy there. If what do you have that you don't need? And as I think about my closet as an example, this is, I think, kind of a metaphor for life. It's like if you're going to add a shirt, let's just say we're going to add a shirt to the closet. I'm wearing a t-shirt today. It's kind of nice out here. But if you're going to add a shirt to the closet, you got to almost get rid of two, because it's like they have babies in there. It's like all the shirts just keep growing. And they all look the same in your closet. You got all the blue shirts or all the black shirts or gray, whatever your color is. You may wear red. You got more red shirts than you know what to do with. And the reality is we just keep adding more and more stuff, the same stuff. We don't get rid of what we have. This is more of our physical possessions, but this happens relationally. We talked about digital clutter a couple of weeks ago in our inbox and all the things that come in. If we're not careful, we'll just keep adding layer after layer after layer. We never get rid of anything, or we'll try to start something. I had a friend years ago. I was blogging all the time, and he asked me the question. He said, "What do I need to be thinking about as I start blogging?" I'd been doing it several years, and I was blogging every day of the week, 5 days a week. Anyway, back then we did that for several years. And some of those old posts are out there. You can still find them. I mean, they weren't real long blogs, but here's the reality. I was doing it. I was writing them in real time. I would write them the night before, we would post them the next morning. And I think there was some real wisdom in what I told this guy. I said, if you're gonna do this, you better decide what two things you're not going to do anymore. And he looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, this thing is going to come like the tide. Every single night, it is going to come in and it's going to be due. And, when you get off an airplane at midnight, you still got to have your post ready for the next day. And you can do that. But if you're going to do something like that, you better be able to let go of something. And some of you have projects or things you're trying to do, and you're wondering why you can't find the time to do it, and it's because you really haven't let go of some of the things that you should. So let me read some questions here. I think these are really great questions that Henry gives us to think about in our business, our leadership, our lives, that actually may help us with this concept of endings. So here's the first one. He says, do I accept that endings are natural? Do I accept that endings are natural? Most of us don't. Most of us were raised, or people my age, I'm pretty old now, but we were raised in a world that says if you stop something, then you're a quitter. And, we're kind of ingrained with that mindset. And I'm not saying we should quit once we start something we're supposed to be doing. But if we're doing something we're not supposed to be doing, even if it's a good thing, there's times we got to be willing to let go of that. And I love the fact that he uses this time of year, really, the springtime concept with the rose bush. He talks about in this book that rose bushes, and I'm not a gardener. My mom could verify all this. She's got really great gardens. And Henry says in here that a rose bush has more buds than what the nutrients in the bush are able to supply. And the bigger the bush gets, or the older the bush gets, it's just more and more buds, this concept. And if we don't prune back these areas in our lives where we just keep adding, we don't prune back, we don't really have enough energy and time and capacity to be able to fill our lives with the amount of focus that we need to handle the areas that are most important. Next thing you know, we're focusing on everything, and all of a sudden we really are not accomplishing anything. And so I think it's so important for us to get this concept. So do you have this mindset that you're a quitter if you stop something? It's like if I'm reading a book and it's a bad book, I don't feel guilty about stopping the book. That's not my fault. That's on possibly the author. Usually it's not the author's fault. Usually it's just not it's the timing. I think anytime I'm reading a book, there's a couple things that are true. One is the content is going to be helpful to make that a great book, but it's also the context. And if the timing's not right, I don't feel guilty for saying I'm not going to read this book if it's not being helpful, because I'm trying to read to help me grow. So when you start thinking about this concept, do you really believe that endings are okay? It's okay to say no. It's okay to stop something. If you're going to start something, you're going to have the emotional time, energy, or I guess the emotional energy, but also the time on your calendar to be able to do that. So we got to let go. Here's the second question he gives us. Am I like a doctor diagnosing, always asking what season I'm in? Go back to what I said a moment ago. I think there are seasons where the load is going to be really heavy. It's okay for me to be, I don't like the word busy, but it's okay for my calendar to be really full for a season. But I can't sustain that over time if I'm going to be able to have a healthy soul, to have maximum impact, all those kinds of things. So what season are you in? And I think like a doctor can diagnose us physically, I think self-leadership's really the ability to say, okay, let's put some time on my calendar, my schedule, to look at what's really going on. If I'm going to win at life, I've got to have some time to ask myself, how am I doing? What season am I in? Why am I feeling frustrated? Why am I irritated? Why am I maybe even energized right now? These are good questions. Here's another one. Do I resist the endings required for changing seasons? Like if I'm going to identify the seasons, then I need to know that just like the leaves fall off the trees in the fall and the season change, there's things that let go there. But that's to make room for the new growth that's budding all around us right now. It's why we have the pollen problems that we do. But it's going to be really great here in a few weeks once we get everything cleaned off. Do I resist those endings for those changing seasons? And if I believe in life cycles and seasons, would I stop resisting? I think one of the things we could all do is make this shift in our mind. I think we already believe this. We know from the 4 seasons in our weather and our climate that this is true, but there really are seasons in our life, and we can remember that. I think it helps us. Here's another question. I love this one from Henry. Am I hanging on to an activity, product, strategy, or relationship whose season has passed? What task do I need to change in order to enter the new season? Like, what is that place where you need to let go? That product, that strategy, maybe there's even a relationship, an employee that they got you to where you are, but they're not going to take you to where you need to go. I love his last couple questions here. Am I sowing when I should be tending? Am I tending when I should be harvesting? Am I trying to harvest in a field where winter is clearly setting in? And for some of us, I think that these are really good questions. We reap what we sow, right? That's what the Bible says, and yet you don't have to be a Bible reader to know that if you put corn in the ground, corn's going to come up. You're not going to get okra from corn plants, and yet sometimes we are in a season where we should be tending what we've done. We should be sustaining what we've done. And yet we're frustrated because we're not able to move on to the next project. And we really have these seasons where we need to focus on maintaining. And then there comes a point where we just live in maintenance mode if we're not careful. And it's time to plant something new and let go of something. Maybe have somebody that can help you with something that can sustain what you've created. And it's time to be harvesting. It's time to be planting. You get to decide what season it is for you, but there's times when winter sets in, and those can be really hard times. We've been through a couple of challenging years here, and with things that are going on in the economy and healthcare and all kind of things with the pandemic. A lot of people have really struggled and even suffered during that time, personally and professionally. And so we've had a time of winter. And yet we're frustrated because we just thought it's just always supposed to be summer. Well, that's not the way it works. And so I think for us to have this mindset of it's okay to be in different seasons, but we need to know what season we're in, and we need to understand the power of pruning. Here's what's going to happen we got some roses actually out in the front yard. We've just pruned them. We've got some crepe myrtles here as well. We have to prune those. When we prune those things, it is crazy to me how much they grow back once you prune. I mean, when you cut back, it really does position those nutrients to explode in those plants. And I'm guessing that can be true in your life or in your leadership. And so I just want to remind you here, if you're going to win at life, you're going to at some point have to recognize that you have limits. There's only so much of you to go around. Some of you are really struggling right now because your capacity is just being spread so thin, and you don't have enough to give to the people around you. You don't even have enough to take care of you, much less all the people around you. And it might be time for you to say no to some things, to cut back, to prune back, maybe take some extra time in your schedule to do some planning, some thinking, some strategizing, maybe to focus more on the relational side of your life for a few days, weeks maybe. Those are always important, but there's times where we need to say no to some things so we can say yes to something else. Ask yourself, what are you really trying to accomplish? Why are you trying to accomplish it? We ask these questions all the time. And then what's going to be needed for you to make that happen? And I'm guessing that you're gonna have to have some things off your plate if you're going to handle the things that are most important on your plate. So I love this conversation. I think it's really important. It's a great time of year to be having it. My homework for you is this: couple things. One is, if you know somebody right now who's got their life is pretty complex, they're spread maybe pretty thin. Maybe this would be an encouragement, a good reminder to them that it's okay to say no to some stuff, and you could hit that share, and pass this on to them. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, give us a thumbs up there. That'll help us. Share with your friends again, and I think that's important. And if you haven't left a comment, we'd love for you to do that. What are your thoughts here when it comes to these necessary endings? But here's the other piece of the homework this week as we kind of go into a weekend. I want you to take some time this weekend and really give some thought. What are some things in my life where I need to let go? Are there one or two areas? You might even pick an area. Is there something financially that you need to let go of? Maybe it's the way you've been doing things, or maybe it's even a dream or a hope of something that might not even be healthy, should have it. Is there something physically in your life that you need to let go of? Is there a place where you've not been behaving the way that you're supposed to be when it comes to taking care of your health and your fitness? We talked about sleep a couple of weeks ago. Are there some bad habits or routines, these things like, I got to let go of that if I'm going to move forward to a more healthy me? Is there something at work? Is there a relationship? You can just pick any area of your life and ask yourself, what do I need to let go of so I can move on in a healthy way to move forward? So I hope that's helpful to you. It's helpful to me. I'm going to do some pruning I'm hoping I can get out of the pruning out in the yard. I'm gonna, let my wife. We're gonna maybe hire somebody to help us with some of that as well. We got a little area that we need to get taken care of. But I know I'm gonna end up, hauling mulch. It's gonna be some yard work here. You gotta take care of your landscaping. But I'm hoping I can get out of that. But I do need to do some pruning when it comes to my own life and leadership. And I'm guessing you do too. All right, love you guys. We'll see you next week. Keep chasing greatness.